Hey guys, how's it going? So I didn't think I was going to make this video. I thought I was going to get over this, but I really just, I don't know, I just felt like I had to talk about it. So, and I was kind of insisted that I talk about this by my girlfriend. Apparently she thought that this was a worthy conversation to have. So I guess here I am making this video. So also I apologize for the construction outside. There's construction directly outside my apartment. So yeah, woo, noise pollution. Yeah, I love it. So I recently came across a post on Instagram that I saw that just like completely blew my mind. It just made me so mad, and the people who posted it will remain unnamed because A, the company who posted it I'm a fan of and I respect what they're doing and I think they have great products. You know what, I might just leave it there. My point is I like what they're doing, but the main point is that what they posted was a huge problem. Not mad at them, it's not their fault, it's okay. This isn't about them, this is really just about more of a general topic. Pull up the post right now, take a look at it. So it says, if you're eating something that has a 6-month shelf life, you're not eating real food, period. Real food is fresh food, period. Okay, so that's what it said, or that's the post said. You know, there's a lot of issues that I have with this. So because the shelf life is increased beyond 6 months, it's not considered real food. And so this kind of like delves onto a bunch of huge issues, which is you know, the consensus of what real food is. Clearly everybody has a different definition, which it's not really that difficult to identify what it is and what it isn't. But before I do that, let me just point something out about food being preserved and food that's sitting out for long periods of time without being refrigerated. Just because a food is preserved or has, quote, preservatives doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad for you. One of the most powerful preservatives on the planet is literally just salt. Salt, sea salt, kosher salt, doesn't matter what kind of salt you use, sodium chloride salt. Salt is one of the most powerful preservatives on the planet. So before you start throwing out the word preservative in a generalized fashion, realize what you're saying there, because preserved food, I mean, you know, it's kind of unavoidable. The same thing goes with the whole word processed. We like to talk about foods being processed. Well, chopping something is processing it. So I mean, these generalized terms, this is what's making it such an issue to try and move forward a health community that cares about food, where it comes from, etc. Because people keep generalizing and industries keep coming and industrializing small communities. That's what happens. A community comes together, it becomes nice and everything's great, and then it grows really big, and then it becomes an industry because the corporations move in, and then that happens, okay? So that's why I'm talking about this, because that post, even though it was one post, it really just triggered me. It just really triggered me. And so I made a little bit of I wrote down a small list. I didn't really prep much for this. Obviously, I'm not dressed nice. My apartment's a mess. I just wanted to make this quick video. But anyway, so I made a quick list of shelf-stable things that can sit on the counter beyond 6 months. So let's start with one. This is one that I think everyone would agree is pretty healthy and real food, honey. It's antimicrobial, so it's not going to go bad on the shelf in 6 months. It may crystallize, but that doesn't mean it goes bad. Cured meats and sausages. So, and also dried sausages, the type that they hang inside of delis, etc. When I went to Italy, there were literally legs of prosciutto hanging from the ceiling, and prosciutto cures on average anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. So you want to talk about shelf life, let's talk about a piece of meat hanging from a ceiling for 6 to 12 months. This has been happening throughout tradition for thousands of years. We've been doing and preserving foods for thousands of years. So the idea that because a food is preserved or a food is shelf stable, it's suddenly not real food, this is a seriously messed up way to look at stuff. If we do this, we're ruining everything. So anyway, moving on. Almond butter, vinegars of all variety, olive oil, coconut oil. I'm sure everyone loves coconut oil. We've been talking about coconut oil for like the past 5 years now. I think we can realize that it's pretty great for you, etc. Oh, and it's also shelf stable. Look at that. Beyond 6 months, yes. It may begin to oxidize slightly, but beyond 6 months, it'll probably be okay. Let's see. Canned tomatoes. Canned tomatoes are good for up to 2, or I believe 1.5 years. It's 1.5 years, definitively. Maybe even 5, but 1.5 years for sure. Past that, dry pasta. Bone broth. One of my favorite companies for bone broth is Kettle and Fire, and they're shelf stable for up to a year, and they don't even have preservatives in their bone broth. Let's see, and there we go with the preservatives terminology. And by preservatives, I mean they don't have anything to preserve it other than the broth and the salt. There's no other additional ingredients that I know of. Salt I have on here because it's a powerful preservative, so obviously it's going to be shelf stable. It will never go bad. Spices, so black pepper, any spice that you use, most of those dry spices, black pepper, cardamom, star anise, etc., you name it, that stuff is shelf stable for 6 months, and it's going to provide flavor throughout those 6 months. It may lose a little bit over time, but point still stands. Rice, dried beans, dried mushrooms. So I just listed over 10 items, and the list could go on and on and on of things that are shelf stable beyond 6 months. So let me just drive this point home, which is fresh food. Yes, that's great. Having food that's fresh from a garden and freshly grown, freshly killed, whatever, is good no matter what. Of course, that's great. But just because a food isn't fresh does not mean that it's not good for you or that it's not real food. The fact that that sentence said that because something lasts on the shelf beyond 6 months is not real food, then that to me just says that we are miles and miles and miles away of creating a community that is actually informed and actually understands what's going on. Because A, it's an extremely ignorant thing to say because it's overgeneralized. And more often than that, not just being generalized, but it's also like it's wrong. It's just not true. You know what I mean? Like pickles are real food. Prosciutto is real food. Those are all things that are made from real food, real ingredients. The coolest thing about prosciutto is most companies that produce prosciutto in a traditional fashion literally just use pork and salt, and that's it. They don't even use sodium nitrate, they don't use that. That's a completely different conversation, but the point is they literally just use salt. So you want to talk about real food, how's 2 ingredients sound to you? You know, it's just, I don't know. I'm starting to get sick and tired of all of the mystification and the fear-mongering that's caused, because that's what that is. That is fear-mongering, okay? The only reason it bothered me was because I had the knowledge to understand why that was an issue that was being said. But imagine being someone like a 40-year-old mom who's just trying to get healthier and just trying to eat better food. And I'm not talking about losing weight. I'm literally just talking about someone trying to cook food from scratch again or whatever, just trying to eat more nutritious foods. And then they see something like that. Okay, that's going to set in stone a whole new ideology that they really shouldn't be having, because it's unhealthy, it's not good, and then they're going to start demonizing foods that they don't have to, and they're going to waste energy on it. It's messed up. Okay, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words at this point. I guess I've kind of become overwhelmed with how much this has annoyed me. Again, I'm not trying to point this anger towards the people who posted this. If you guys end up seeing this video, I promise you that I'm not out to get you guys. I'm saying this for the community in the sense of we really need to start being careful what we say the bigger that we are, because if you're a huge person in the health community, when you say something, people will believe it, and you have to be really fucking careful. And that type of stuff is not going to fly. We are not going to create a community that cares about their food, where it's coming from, how it's being cooked, if we keep doing stuff like that. Okay? That's it. I'm done. I'm not done. I'm just done with this rant. I'm done with the rant. But I will be back to do more recipe videos, and I promise it will not have a rant in it. Anyway, I just needed to get this off my chest. Honestly, I really did, and you know, maybe people will see it, maybe they won't, whatever. I needed to get it off my chest. I'm glad it's floating around the internet somewhere.